welcome to everybody. Actually, I don't have any particular speech that I prepared today. I first of all would like to thank University of Pavia and Platform 2 in general, who gave us the possibility to be here all together, and of course all the other platforms that they were keen on joining us to this meeting. But first of all, I would like to thank all of you that in really few days, in an enthusiastic way, decided to join us to make these presentations, and I'm really curious to see all your works today. And I think just that it's very nice that we, first of all, we are all together, and it's for a special day, that is the day dedicated to women. So I don't want to occupy the floor more than this, and I give the floor to Professor Parisi, who I know already has some inspiring
words that are not mine.
Yeah, okay, but they're still inspiring for all of us.
Thank you, Marco. Good afternoon to everybody. Welcome to be here. Well, I must tell you that I feel a little bit uneasy being a man to speak, to open a meeting on Women's Day. But it happens just by chance that I am the coordinator of the Platform 2, and this idea came out from the ladies of the Platform 2 that I thank very much. On the other way around, you know, the platforms are 4, and the 2 coordinators are gentlemen, myself and Professor Geretti in Rome, but 2 are the ladies, Professor Colombo and Professor Loda, Platform 1 and 3, and therefore we are perfectly gender equate 50-50. Just as a starting point and as a gift to the ladies, today I received a very nice and very interesting part of the Talmud dealing with the ladies, and it goes like that. Be very careful to make a woman cry, because God counts her tears. The women came out of the man's rib, not from his feet, because she should be beaten, not from the head to be superior, but from the side to be fully equal, a little lower than the arm to be protected, and from the side of the heart to be loved. Therefore, we must love our women.
Good evening, everyone. Do you have the screen and do you have my voice?
Perfectly, go.
Yes, we can see everything. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to talk about Afghanistan, which is recognized the most dangerous country in the world for women since 2001. In this presentation, I'm going to cover the situation of Afghan women before Taliban, the situation of Afghan women during Taliban, and the situation of Afghan women after Taliban. As you can see in the photos I pasted, it shows clearly that the situation of female before Taliban in 60s and 70s wasn't the same. The female were allowed to go to school, to join the universities, to do different jobs, and female were allowed to perform different type of performance in national ceremonies, and even female were allowed to be part of national forces and be part of army. This is the photos I pasted here from the Kabul University, where it clearly shows that female were part of science and technology at that time. And also at that moment, Afghan females were free to walk on the street and wear different type of clothes they wanted. And we had models, and we had like different female were involved in different fields, and they were allowed to do different type of job, and they had their full rights to do whatever they wanted to do. The common features at that moment were development, growth, human rights and women's rights, access to education, and possibility to work. They were allowed to travel alone inside and outside the country. Females were also allowed to sing songs and do other types of activities on TV, radio, and on different type of ceremonies. So basically, we can say that females were economic independent at that moment. So what happened during Taliban? Even though the Taliban came into power in Afghanistan in 1996, but there were other conflicts in the country which negatively affect the female situation or the women's situation in the country. This is what happened during the Taliban to female. Female were basically put it inside a blue, I don't know how to explain it, a blue thing, which is called burqa or chadri, where female were not able to see outside world, which also affected their thought and their thought, and they were also not able to thought or to I don't know how to explain. They were not able to explain themselves to outside the world. Here you can see the photo of female where they were beaten on the public by Taliban, and the female were bring out on the street for begging. At that moment, a woman was not allowed to walk on the street without a male, and she must be guarded by a male, or which is called mahram in our culture. Yes, and here I also pasted the photos of female where she is punished by Taliban in the public. And on the other side, you can see that a man holding a stick and beating female for no reason. The common features during that time were no women's rights. School and universities were closed for female. Females were not allowed to do any type of job. Females were not allowed to travel alone or even inside and outside the country. All type of violence increased in the country. Females were equal to a commodity. Forced marriages increased and girls were skipped from the home. Child marriages increased and exchange marriages were practiced. In our society, unfortunately, a famous proverb which is still dominated were at that time, which is called female either should stay or at home or die. And these all lead women to be economically dependent on male or on male member of the family, where the male doesn't exist. So basically child labor increased in the country, and the child were the male member of the family, which the child member of the family was the head of the family, which led to increase in child labor in the country. After 2002, with the upcoming of Republic government in the country, what happened to Afghan women? Well, as Ms. Maqsoodi said, the situation didn't change a lot. Still, in most part of the country, even you can find female wearing burqa inside the Kabul, which is the capital, but in other part of the country, it is still practiced. In the other photo I pasted here, I showed the generation gap where we don't know about the female wearing the burqa, what are their ages, but the other girl wearing nothing. She is like a free woman, a free human. I also pasted a photo here of a very bad accident or incident happened to a female in Afghanistan, which shocked the world. Her name was Farkhunda, and she was beaten to kill by male in public for the thing which she never committed. And on the other side, you can see that how on the second day of what happened to Farkhunda, other female activists, they start to protest for asking justice for Farkhunda. Here, as I said here, nothing can shut our voice. In today's scenario, females are asking for their rights. They have their voice. They are part of national assemblies. They are part of parliament, government. They are involved in different type of jobs in the country. We have female being part of our national army forces. And you can see even wearing burqa or being closed inside the burqa cannot stop our females from practicing democracy. Still, they are running to branches of election and casting their vote there. Yes, the situation isn't the same in all part of the country for females in Afghanistan, unfortunately. I pasted the two photos here I took from the social media, where you can see a very aged person sitting with a very young girl. These are couples. So at the same time, other girls we have involved in science and sport and in different type of activities. It shows clearly that the situation isn't similar for all the girls in Afghanistan. Child marriage is still practicing. Violence is increased in the country. Yes, we can say that the situation has been changed little for those living in cities such as Kabul or those who have economically good conditions. Women are still victims and are suffering different types of violences. Educational institutions are reopened for girls, but it is still closed in some areas of Afghanistan. Of course, women rejoin offices, a number of working women increase in the country, and girls were sent to foreign countries alone for higher education. Women are allowed to travel alone inside and outside the country, but inside the country, the place matter. Here in Afghanistan, we have international NGOs and organizations working for female in on different projects. They have positive result in most cases. Thank you so much. I keep my presentation as short as I could, and I here paste some links for those who are interested to know more about Afghan women. I will stop here.
Thank you for your time. I prepared a short presentation. My name is Bestar. I'm from Albania. If you don't know where is located Albania, Albania is a small country between Italy and Greece. It's 3.5 million inhabitants. And in my presentation, I'm covering some data in women rights in Albania, referring to data 2020. Okay. In Albania, Albania has made a significant progress in bridging the gender gaps. However, women face more obstacles than men throughout their lives, especially in building a successful career. Girls and boys start the primary education at the age of 6, which boys compromise the majority up to the high school. This report changed in the university, where women's enrollment in Albanian university is 60% higher than men's enrollment. I mean, 40% boys and 60% women, girls. Women's labor force participation in Albania is 17% below the men's. There are many housewives and girls that have not attended the university or attended but not working. Most of them that do not attend the university starting the family life earlier. When a woman gets married, she is expected to do most of the household works and to cook and to care for the children and the elders. And average age at the time of marriage for women it's 26, and for the men is 31. But this is changed now. But before it used to be more in early age, between 20 and 22 in the communism time. Such entrenched social norms, as well as limited childcare ability, keeps many women from actively participating in the labor force. However, efforts are being made to remove some of the obstacles women face in order to increase the economic opportunity for women. There are abundant provisions for maternity maternity leave in Albania's labor code, but still most employers see this as an additional and discouraging cost when hiring a woman for the particular job. Recently, the labor code providing for parental leave for the fathers, and therefore the situation is likely to change. Okay. Only 20–30% of the firms have a female manager, and only 13% have a female owner. Women earn 89 cents for every dollar compared to the men with similarity qualification. Anyway, women represent over 50% of the Albanian government and 30% of the parliament. Also, 50% of the senior management position in public administration are held by women. Going forward, through further improvement of the legal framework, the labor market, and by rewarding women on equality footing with men, Albania can make a big difference in increasing the GDP by 20%. This data I took from the World Bank report 2020, but I didn't have a lot of time to prepare a very good presentation for the short notice. But just I wanted to say in Albania, we have been for 30 years, we have made a huge progress in human rights, especially the women, because for 50 years we have been in communism time in Eastern Europe, where it was not allowed to go in university, just one or two kids per family, and especially the family choose the man to do the university because it's to manage the home family and so on. And for 30 years till now, we have made a huge progress. Also, I have, I guess, 2 minutes just to share a small video.
I have 5 daughters,
and
from a very young age, I told them there is no such thing as jobs for men and jobs for women.
The aim is to empower women and to have them better represented across all areas of work.
I want to see more women working in areas like tech, for example, and engineering. And I want to see more women in leading positions. Girls can do anything. They can be doctors, lawyers, astronauts, and yes, they can be presidents.
Thank you for your kind attention. Thank you very much, giving me the possibility to present my view, my presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we have the group of Lebanon, please.
Okay, I am Rita from Lebanon. I am happy to join today, especially join my voice to all women, especially Lebanese women who fight to their gender equality. Today in Lebanon, we had a lot of movement regarding to asking about equity and equality. The role of women in Lebanon have evolved through the history, and we know that Lebanon has known about for its active feminist movement in Arab region. Since 1997, Lebanese agreed to the Convention of the elimination of all form of discrimination against women, and also Lebanon established the National Commission Lebanese Women. But unfortunately, till now, Lebanese authority dropping short the international agreement and obligation to women and girls again, and to help against violence and discrimination regard of them. What we need today, and what is all need, what all the needs in Lebanon today, we need first a new citizenship law. Why we need a new citizenship law? Because woman till now, she cannot give the nationality to her children or to her husband. As you see, Lebanese outdated citizenship law discriminate against women married to foreigner by denying citizenship to their children or spouses, but not men. Men, he can give if, the nationality to his children and to his wife. Lebanon should amend the citizenship law to ensure that children and partner of Lebanese women have the right to citizenship as those Lebanese men. Second, we need a new law. What kind of a new law? Even women in Lebanon, which all the Lebanese woman is dependent, financially independent. She reach high position. She reach all kind of job, but till now she cannot open an account, a bank account to her children. Till now, we need to establish law to break the tradition thought and to help this woman to be more independent. Third, a quota for women political representation is required to ensure women are elected in the parliament. Till now, we see some excelling in a variety of women are in all variety of industry, and they are really present in public and private sector. But women in parliament are only 6 till now. Against 122 men. Even that women in 2018, 130 women present their election to be elected, only 6 women were elected. Fourth, equality right of a civil state. We need an equality right in a civil state because till now women suffer from the dominance of the religion, and we don't have a civil state, a clear civil state. Lebanese women struggle to achieve equal gender right in a country where discrimination against them is facilitated by religion-based personal status law. Family law in Lebanon fall under the ruling of religion courts. So each sect deducts its own rules concerning marriage, divorce, inheritance, and custody, with the most unfair to women across all confessions. Example, children custody is given to a man in all Lebanese religion except the Greek Armenian. If the father dies, guardianship may revert to his male relative. The main relative, he can take the responsible of the children, but not the mother. Women often have to give up custody of their children and all financial right to obtain a divorce. Women are either registered under their father's family or their husband. They cannot be registered alone. Women in the same community cannot inherit or own property regardless of who are married or who they marry. Marital rape is excluded from punishment. There is no law that forbid early marriage for a girl in Lebanon. They can't till now. We have till now in some community and in some rural or some village where girls are married too young, even at 9 years old. We need a civil law in Lebanon. Thank you for your time and thank you for enabling me to participate.
So just first, I want to thank you and thank everyone who is organizing this event for the nice event and for allowing us to know all of such information, which is very interesting and sometimes sad concerning some countries. So we prepared a short video trying to speak more about the more recent steps that we're taking to include women and also to give women some kind of appreciation. So I just want to share the video, but I want to make sure that the voice is already clear. Maybe I will need some help. 1 minute. Okay.
If you want, we can share the video for you because we have this video
Okay,
already.
great. Yeah.
So if you, okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes. It's a bit small.
Okay, I will fix it.
Yeah, okay. And maybe we just need it from the beginning?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
With the Partnership for Knowledge initiative to celebrate the International Women's Day 2021, we are glad to introduce you to some facts about the Egyptian woman, but let's tell the story from the very beginning. The role of the woman was very prominent and significant in the Egyptian society since the earliest time, to the degree that it was appreciated and visualized through different works of art. Such works showed the woman as part of the family, while also visualized many of the daily activities and the duties assigned to them, especially rearing and caring for children, while also during their work. Women were efficient enough to rule the Egyptian land, whether as the main ruler or even as wives of the king, but their heavy duties continued to be expressed, especially the roles as mother. However, they were always able to show their strong side whenever it was needed. The teaching of Ptah from the New Kingdom period provided more insights into the ways by which women were cared about. Listen to what he says. If you are a wise and excellent, found your household and love your wife, fill her belly, clothe her back, and gladden her heart as long as you live. It's that that fixes her in your house. The participation of the Egyptian woman in the political life became very obvious, especially through the recent revolutions that took place after 2011. However, for years women had done a lot, but in silence, especially since 1919, when Safiya Zaghloul led the demonstrations of females against the British rule, claiming for women's right to participate in the state-building process. Moreover, singers such as Shadia and Kulthum participated also by their own way in the political life, whether by singing songs that supported the national spirit in the Egyptian society or by contributing their income to support the Egyptian military. Several scientific achievements which deserved scientific awards on both local and global levels were also accomplished and achieved by hundreds of the Egyptian women. Such achievements were possible in association with the decrease in equality in the Egyptian education system. Egypt is also well represented in the Olympic competitions as well as in several international and national competitions through the efforts done by the female athletes. Many of the charity projects were proposed and managed by women to benefit elderly and unhealthy people through offering diverse free services. Women remained in the front lines, caring for the patient through the hard times that was forced by the COVID-19 outbreak, not only in Egypt but also worldwide. As part of the serious steps proposed by the President Sisi to rebuild the Egyptian state on the basis of new foundations, especially following the two revolutions, it was generally recognized that without the true empowerment of the Egyptian woman, no development efforts would be successful. For example, in 2014, 20 articles were added to the Egyptian law to address several issues related to women, including ensuring equality, transforming nationality to children, preventing discrimination, and also protection against violence, while also to show commitment towards the international conventions. 10 million women benefited from the healthcare support in 2017, while in 2019, 28 million women benefited from the campaign titled Egyptian Women Are the Health of Egypt, which offered free testing and treatment in case of being diagnosed with breast cancer. Moreover, after announcing Egypt Vision 2030, it became clear that empowering the Egyptian woman is now considered as a national policy that aims at defeating the violence against women, as well as protecting women from female genital mutilation and child marriage, as well as women's sexual harassment. Moreover, the National Council of Women is working alongside the government to address more cultural and legal issues related to women, while also enhance the social and political empowerment of the Egyptian woman. The Egyptian society is also taking part in supporting women's rights and protecting her through diverse ways, especially using the social media and modern technology, which became powerful tool to defeat any unwanted or unacceptable practices towards females. We do believe that Egypt is going towards a better future for the whole Egyptian society and for a better future for women in particular, where females can enjoy protection and inclusion since childhood and after aging. Finally, we want to thank all women, whether they are mothers, wives, doctors, teachers, and all working and non-working women, for being brave, supportive, and more than wonderful.
No, actually, this was the presentation. It was first done as a presentation, then we thought to make it like a short video, so it
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
Best compliments. It has been really a very, very nice presentation.
Yes.
5 millennia in 5 minutes.
My name is Ikram and I'm from Jordan. So I will be doing a presentation about women's rights in Jordan and the main challenges. First, I would like to start by going briefly into the context. Jordan is a monarchy with a constitutional parliamentary government system. I mentioned this because according to the constitution, all citizens are equal before the law, and work is the right of all citizens, and jobs are based on capability. And also, the population of Jordan is 10 million. Nearly half is all female. Another issue with the population is that as of 2019, the number of refugees registered in Jordan stood at nearly 800,000. 80% of them are in the urban communities and outside of camps, which again raises a lot of issues for women, refugee women, as we will mention later. The situation in Jordan is a conservative. There's a prevailing conservative social norms. There is a sizable gap that exists between constitutional rights and acceptable social norms and the traditional expectations and the cultural restraints that continue to limit women's advancement. First, I will talk about women in education. In the 80s and 90s, there was a long process that closed a gap between between primary education between men and women. Currently, there's an equal access to education. There's 95% of girls in primary school, and in contrast to 95% of boys in secondary and post-secondary education. So in the universities, there's a higher percentage for women enrollment. That is nearly currently at 60%. I included this image about the World Food Bank that was recently shared and got a huge backlash because it's about distributing kind of biscuits for young students, and the claim was that this will prevent early marriage and child labor, which was highly it triggered high backlash because again the issue isn't actually with education, and most people support the women to enroll and again it's mandatory for everyone to attend school up until secondary level. Next, I will talk about education and economic participation. Again, literacy rates are one of the highest in the Middle East at nearly 97%. However, and of course in universities, the overall enrollment of women in Jordanian university stands at 52, even high, that's 52%. That's in 2014. Currently, again, it's close to 60%. However, this educational advancement does not transfer over to the job force. Jordan has one of the lowest rates of economic participation in the world, stopping at 15%, sometimes even 13%, according to Sadaqa NGO, which is an NGO that was established in 2011 in order to try to create better environments for working women. Here I want to talk about the issue of child marriage because again, it's not that's an issue. The law in Jordan set the minimum age at 18. However, exceptions take place. As of last year, there was a bylaw that was in the parliament in order to prevent such derogations of the law, but it was not passed. So we have 10% of marriages between the ages of 15 and 18, and unfortunately, this is exacerbated among the refugee population, and so girls in refugee population struggle most of this situation. Again, economic activity, the barriers are rooted in social norms and cultural preferences that hinder women from actualizing their potential. These barriers manifest in daycares, the availability of daycares that, again, the Sadaqa NGO tries to put into effect an article in the Constitution that guarantees daycares in work environment, but it's not applied by most firms. And again, the transportation issue, which is again a huge barrier for women enrollment, because if they can't have safe access and safe transportation, they do not work, and also the issue of pay inequity. This was exacerbated again during COVID because the closure of daycares forced more women to leave their jobs. Another issue is that the discrimination in most workplaces, women tend to go into sectors of health, education, and public administration because, which are again, they are low growth sectors, and they have limited labor productivity. So again, there's this issue of jobs for women and men. Finally, here we mentioned political participation. There's very low political participation for women in Jordan, despite the inclusion of quotas for women. So there's a specific quota in order to be elected. However, for some activists, this is also considered as a form of discrimination against women to not be able to be elected for their merits, not as part of quota. But again, it's meant to increase their enrollment, which is still very low. This is a table by the Department of Statistics, and we can see the high gap of political participation of women in different parts, whether the cabinet, diplomatic corps, or ambassadors. So we see a gap of nearly 60% between men and women participation. And the final part, again, there's a lot of work to be done in the legal framework. In 2007 until 2017, the Article 308, as a result of protests, was removed. That allowed the rapists to fled punishment by marrying their victim, which was again cancelled in 2017. And there is another fight that's still going in order to be for women to be able to transfer their citizenship to their children. And that's it. Thank you. And these are references if you want to know more. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. Now, Kenya is going to present. So, James, the floor is yours, please.
Okay, thank you.
Please, yes.
Good evening, everyone. I'm James, and I'm going to present on behalf of Kenyans, and I'll talk about women's rights in Kenya. And there was one activist who said, women are the real architects of our society. And in Africa, we say, anywhere we have a mother, the children don't sleep ugly, and the children always studies in that homestead. So we say the mothers, they are the pillars of our society. So when we look at the history of women's rights in Kenya, we are going to start with the pre-colonial era. As you know, most of the African countries, they were they were colonized, especially in Kenya, we are colonized by British. That is before we gained independence in 1960. Which is in 1963. And before colonists came, most of the women roles was in the house. It was about cooking and giving birth. Because in the era of our grandfathers, we believe if you have to be rich, you have to have many wives, that is polygamy, and you have to have many children. Then when the Britons came, also women were not involved much, and their role remained in the kitchen. But during the uprising, when the Kenya started fighting for their independence, we saw the women roles. They used to take food to the freedom fighters, and some of those women, like a woman called Mekatiriri Wameza, was one of the women agitating for independence. So in the after independence, as you can see that photo, she's 2004.
James, sorry, but the presentation is not going on, at least on my screen. You should move to full presentation and to move forward because we are blocked. Try to put full screen.
I put full screen.
Yeah, down. You have to go down and to click on the icon full screen presentation.
Just press F5.
No, exactly this one. Click it.
Can you see it now?
Yes, now try to go on. Okay,
so I can start over. I can start over again.
Perfect. Yeah. Now it goes very well.
Can you hear me?
Fanya kazi vizuri kama hivi, anaendelea vizuri. Naweza kuendelea sasa. Sikito, kuna tatizo yoyote?
Okay, karibu sana. I'll start with the saying from the Harriet Beaver, who said women are the real architects of our society. And according to our African culture, if you go to a home where you have a wife and a woman, that home is always successful. Therefore, you say women are the pillars of our society. I'll start by looking at the history of human rights in Kenya, and I'll start by looking from pre-colonial rule, that is before Kenya gained independence in 1963. And the women role was just giving children and doing household chores. Then when the colonialists came, they were still not too much involved. Their role was just to give children, because in traditional African society, we believed if a man has to be rich, he has to have many wives and many children. But during the fight for independence, we see there are some women who came out to fight for the independence, and one of them was Mekatiriri Wameza and Muthoni Kirima, who were one of those freedom fighters. Then, as you can see from that photo, we can see some women in the recent history, like Professor Wangari Maathai, who won 2004 Nobel Prize for being an environmentalist. Then we also have the first women to fight for independence, called Charity Gill. Charity is a governor in one of the regional governments called Kitui County. We can look at the status of women's rights in Kenya, and the first one to look at is education. And as you can see, if you look at education among what you call, there's some people you call the marginalized community, or those communities who are nomadic, like Sabur, Masai, and Pokot. You can see most of the women, they are excluded from the education. But if you look from other communities, most of the women, they involve in day-to-day running of government, or they involve in day-to-day economic value. But what you can see in the Kenyan education system, educating a girl, there are challenges. Men prefer to educate girls more than boys due to high cost of education, poverty, or insecure running environments. One of the features which hinders educational empowerment among women, especially in those marginalized communities, cultural practices like FGMs, which is one of the which lead to their deaths, and early marriages, where you see some of the girls, they are married as young as 14 years old. Then we are going to look at another issue, especially what we call RAD issues. And in Kenya, if you have to be considered wealthy or you have some property, you have to own land. And women initially were excluded from owning lands. But in Kenya, we passed a new constitution in 2010, and it was made mandatory even for women to inherit land from their fathers or from their parents. As you can see from that cartoon there, from that picture, sometimes when the husband die, women, they are suppressed. They are told they are not supposed to own anything. I'll look briefly from what Kenya had gained from 2010 Constitution about gender equality. And after the passage of 2010 Constitution, we formed a commission called National Gender Equality Commission. And the function of that commission is to ensure gender equality, principle of equality and discrimination for all persons in Kenya, and to put more focus on special interest group, especially the women, people living with disability, youth, older members of society, minority and marginalized group. And there have been steps to enable the Kenyan woman economically. The first one is there's a bank dedicated to women called Kenya Women Finance Trust, where they give loans to women at a very low interest rate of around 5%. Also, women in the villages, they are encouraged to be meeting monthly in groups where they perform what you call table banking. And in the table banking, they collect money from all the members present and they give to one member to empower her to start some enterprise. Also, we have Youth Development Fund, which give money to youth and young girls at zero interest rate. Also, you have what you call Uwezo Fund. Uwezo means ability in Kiswahili, which is given to women to empower them. And lastly, I will finish up by, currently in Kenya, we have, after 10 years, we want to change the constitution again. And after the contested 2017 election, they came out with some points, and one of them, we have not been able to achieve 1/3 of gender rules, especially in the parliament. And in the proposals, in that what we are calling Building Bridges Initiative, in all of the proposals, they want to increase the number of women in both the houses, both in the Senate and in the National Assembly, and also in the regional government, which we call the counties. And we have to make sure the representation, we have that representation of the women in those assemblies. As you can see, we have the president in the center. On the left, we have the deputy president, and we have the retired prime minister, where they are discussing that document on, they are launching the document on bridging initiative, where they want to achieve one of the issues was to achieve the gender parity. Also, we had our opinion and the conclusion as a Kenyan group. And we say, although Kenya has a long way in hearing the plight of women, they continue to be an improvement in financial, social, and economic inclusion within the country at different stages, ranging from dialogue, we have process, implementation, and representation. But we said, however, as much as we are advocating for women rights, let's not forget the boy child in the process. Because the current trend, many boy child are dropping out of school due to drugs and depression. Okay, happy Women's Day to everyone.
Thank you. Can I start my video?
Yes, sure. You can start your video.
Okay,
Yes,
I'm Anna from Mozambique. I will do a small presentation now. Screen. Start now. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Okay.
8th of March, it's considered to be the International Women's Day. It's a global day celebrating social, economical, cultural, and political achievements of women. The day also marks a call action for accelerating women's equality. Over the centuries, women have been fighting for equal rights and opportunities, but they have not always had an international day. International Women's Day, especially in Africa.
Excuse me, can you hear the video? Can you hear the audio?
Yes, we can hear the audio. Yes,
Yes.
yes we can. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Africa, it draws attention to significant issues African women still face internationally, such as parenting, domestic violence, sexual harassment in the workplace, unequal pay, and schooling for all girls. It can be used as a day to fight for or protest these ideas. The story tells us that this date arose from a fire incident in a textile factory in the United States, where thousands of workers lost their lives, carbonized in March of 1911. This incident marked the beginning of feminist movement throughout of the 20th century. The women's fight for equality and other rights still continues till this day. There are even results. In Mozambique, for example, women in cities are slowly managing to occupy their space, assuming important leadership positions in the government, industry, education, and formal sector. But there are also many failures. We still have a lot to do. There's little employability in the formal sector for many women, are unable to go to school and are forced to engage in premature marriages, being forced to assume a family, which leads to increase in poverty, mainly in the rural areas. Premature marriage in Mozambique is a crime considered a violation of human rights. Annually, around the world, about 12 million women are forced to marry before reaching the age of 18, and of these, 13% marry before the age of 15. According to a study by AICS in 2011, Mozambique has one of the highest rate of child marriage in Africa and in the world, with 1 in 2 girls being forced to marry before the age of 18. A complex mix of social cultural norms and economic inequality drives this phenomenon. Ending premature marriage today is a high priority on the agenda of civil society in Mozambique and human rights organizations. Today, there are several organizations in rural areas to rescue girls and victims of premature girls' marriages. When it comes to education, according to UNICEF, today in Mozambique, more than 1.2 million children are out of school, more girls than boys. However, there has significant progress in women's rights in 2018, where Ministry of Education revoked a 2013 decree that prohibited the pregnant girls from not attending daytime classes and ordered them to attend nighttime classes only. The total employment rates are lower for women than for men. The main reason among women to being out of employment is housework and premature marriage and level of education. Women are less likely to work in the emerging non-subsistence sector, as well in the formal sector. Today, 56% of political positions are held by women. In the country, about 57% of literate people are women, and that's a huge improvement. When it comes to work in Mozambique, there are strongly held beliefs about gender roles, often making it difficult for women to find work outside of the home. And when they do, they are often not supported by their husbands. This happens especially in the rural areas. Men are often seen as the breadwinners, while women are expected to stay at home and care for the children. In 2018, just 5.8% of women in Mozambique held paid paying jobs compared to 23% of men. And how this date is celebrated in Mozambique. This date in Mozambique is very important, and people from all ages and participate. We dance, we parties, we marches. It's a very important day for us, and we love it. So that's all for now. Thank you so much for your attention.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your wonderful teaching.
Quem vai salvar esse país? Quem vai acabar com casamentos prematuros por ter passado por isso?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Rubina from Pakistan now is going to talk about women's rights in Pakistan and Myanmar.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, good evening everyone, and I am Rubina Ansari. I'm going to present the women's situation in Pakistan. Pakistan is a very diverse country with respect to culture as well as geographical location. And according to 2017 census of Pakistan, women constitute about 48.76% of total population of the country. And the status of women in Pakistan varies considerably across classes, geographical location, as well as educational and social status. And overall, the women of Pakistan today are more powerful than last 2 decades, and also participating in every sector, which is male dominant sectors too. It is, we are considering just as the defense sector as well as other sectors which are male dominance. And about the constitutional rights, the 1973 Constitution of Pakistan granted equal rights and protection to all citizens without any discrimination on the basis of sex. Moreover, it allows to make special provisions for the protection of women and children. And other articles, and there are other articles who protect or who protect women rights as well as are for women empowerment. And moreover, Pakistan ratified with many and international as well as national commitments. For example, Pakistan ratified with the United Nations Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women in 1996, and many other commitments. At the national level, various institutional mechanisms are working for women rights and empowerment, in which National Commission on the Status of Women Pakistan are playing a leading role. And the very next, in context of education, women's situation in Pakistan, women literacy rate has increased in last 2 decades. However, high difference still exists across different regions. Here we can see that there are large difference between urban and rural literacy rate, not only for female but also for males too, across different age groups. And in case of marriage and divorces, the average age of women for marriage has increased from 17 years in 1951 to 22.5 years in 2005. And about the divorce rate, it's very extremely low in Pakistan due to the social stigma attached to it. And here are some statistics about the married and women as well as men, and percent distribution of ever married women across different ages group. Here we can see that in first column, the weighted percent of women. Here we can see that most of the women are married between 20 to 44 years old. Very 3.7% of women are married between 15 to 19 years old age, and across men it's more age. It's varied from mostly 20.5 years to 50. Oh, sorry, 49 years old. In context of workforce participation, the percentage of men and women and their monthly wages in major industry are presented here. Here we can see that women dominate sectors are agriculture, manufacturing, education, and activities of household as employers. And we can also that the very few percentage of women are working in information communication sector, scientific or defense sectors, but getting much higher pay than males. Males. And here one thing is more interesting. We can see that in education sector there are more percentage of women working in education sector than men percent. That shows the better, or you can say the increased percentage of, or the improved percentage of literacy rate in women in Pakistan. Here are some glimpses of women working in different sectors. For example, women in politics also working. The Benazir Bhutto, who is the first ever woman Prime Minister of Pakistan, as well as the Muslim country. And there are other more women who are working in politics at different positions, ministerial positions. Women are also working in the defense sector, which is also considered a male-dominant sector in Pakistan in last few decades. But here nowadays, women are also actively participating and working in these sectors. For example, the Rafia Kasim Beg, which is working in the bomb disposal office, as well as the, for example, the Rizwana Hamid is working as the head of a male police station, and many other women. Similarly, various women are working successfully in their own business and working for women empowerment in economic sector, which ranges from small scale to technological related businesses. For example, IT solution company, Women Digital League. And in sports sector, women are also very active in every sport, ranging from cricket, football, or weightlifter, martial artist, and many more. And other sectors, for example, women are also very active in male-dominant sector. For example, a group from female student from NUS University participated in Formula Student Competition. This group is the only one group in the history of this competition which is only constituted of female participants, and they won a Spirit of Formula Student Award. And the Shamshad Akhtar, she worked not only in Pakistan but also at international level in the World Bank. And Malala Yousafzai is a very pronounced name at international level, and she is also a Nobel Peace Prize winner. In many other sectors, women are working and play their role actively. And this is the only one-side situation of Pakistan. And but on the other hand, on the other side, in some parts of the country, women are deprived of their basic constitutional rights and subjected to violence, honor killings, domestic violence, sexual harassment, acid throwing, trafficking, and marriage at young age are the major issues which are faced by women in Pakistan. And there are a number of organizations who are working for the empowerment of women in every sector. There are a few organizations I am presenting here who are working for the betterment of women in Pakistan. And secondly, this is all side from Pakistan. I am also going to present Myanmar conditions. Women's situation in Myanmar on behalf of Mr. Ong, because of some issues regarding capacity and timing, he is not able to present his country. So I am going to present Myanmar too. Myanmar located between China and India.
Please try to be as short as possible, just a sign of respect to people that is still waiting. Please go on very quickly.
Sure. And about 1.5% of the population constitute women in Myanmar. About the women's constitutional rights, Myanmar granted all persons equal rights before law and equal protection without any discrimination. And Myanmar also ratified with many international commitments in which the UN Convention of the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women is the very prominent one. And the second about the women's situation in Myanmar in regard of education. Well, the literacy rate for adult women is very high. It's about 86% compared to just over 90% for the men. And about the health, the average life of the woman is about 69 years compared to 60 years for a man. And the abortion is illegal, and around about 10% of all maternal deaths are reported to the abortion related. About the marriage and family, Myanmar women are free to choose their own husband, and there is no practice of having a family name. And they are allowed to make decisions regarding their household spending as well as about divorce. In case of divorce, the assets are equally divided between husband and wives. But there are violence against women, issues like sexual assault during civil wars, trafficking of women, especially on the border regions due to war, as well as the forced sex in marriages. These issues are ongoing problems in Myanmar. And there are institutional mechanisms to implement the commitments to gender equality and women empowerment, in which Ministry of Social Welfare, Relief and Resettlement are working a leading role, and many others. And here is the Aung San Suu Kyi, which is the leader of Myanmar women, which is unfortunately detained by military. She is a Nobel Peace Prize winner in 1991. She said that the more the movement get their rights, the higher the standard of human rights of a country. There are some gains of participation of women and other persons against military corps. And same here in this picture, we can see that they are peacefully demonstrating against military regime in Myanmar. And here is the reference where we get the data about the statistics of women's situation in Pakistan. And that's all for our side. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, Rubina, thank you very much. Now, Saja is going to present human rights situation in Palestine.
Okay, buonasera everybody. I'm gonna share my screen. Okay. Present. Okay, I will try to be short.
Thank you very much. We will appreciate it a lot.
Yeah. Okay, my name is Zabulat from Palestine, talking about the women's rights and situation in Palestine. Here are some of the aspects that I'd like to cover today. In numbers, the Palestinian society is 50-50, both male and female, so the ratio is 1-to-1 between both genders, but we still have gaps in some aspects of life, even though we have good and increasing rates in women education and literacy rate. Okay, domestic violence statistics, according to 2019 statistics, 29% of women at least have experienced violence by their husbands. Surprisingly, 40% of them, they were already aware that they were of the institutions of protection centers, but 61% of them, so the majority, decided to not report, and this is the major problem why most of our studies are not that accurate. Moreover, it's important to claim that in the law, the violence is not prohibited yet, but hopefully, well, okay. We know that in Palestine we're in a special situation under the occupation, and our law is not independent. We still have a mixture. The law is a mixture of Jordanian, British, Egyptian, Israeli, and stuff like that. Talking about the Convention of Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, it is still, it has been ratified in 2014, but it's still not passed, still not occurred yet. Okay, talking in the economic rights, of course, it is there's nothing to prohibit women from working. It's totally legal, of course, but we still suffer from stick to the rights because in the law we have a woman granted of maternity leave of 10 weeks by law, but especially in the private businesses, most of them, they don't stick to that law because even though they prefer to hire unemployed women, to hire unmarried women than the married ones. And also property, talking about property rights, again, it's totally legal for a woman to have her own land or her own house and her building, etc. But reality is the reality is always different because we can see in Palestinian women, especially in the rural areas, do not claim their own share of inheritance by their brothers. Okay, and even the married ones, sometimes, not always, in some cases, if you're married and you have your own land or house, you're supposed to give it to your husband, but it's not that not that common. Political participation in Palestinian history and even today, we have many female icons in the political life. Even our health ministry is a woman, but as I said, we have a huge gap in such this aspect, and I believe it's a worldwide situation. We still, for example, in 2009, there were an election for the Fatah Central Council, and only 11 women were elected. It's 120-member revolutionary council. So, as I said, there is a gap between the male and female in political life. Education right, we said that we have in the education we have race ratios because the educated, we have more educated women and female rather than in comparison with the previous century, so it's a good thing. And lastly, I want to talk about obstacles to change in the future. Hopefully the lack of political will, as I said, most of the decision makers are males than female, well, which is a problem. That's why we find that in our law domestic violence is not prohibited yet, and of course that's it. Most of it, it's just in the political will. Of course, in the mostly in the family, a male is in little bit higher in power than a female. Yeah, and that's it. Women's authority, of course. And there's are my resources, and I finished.
Thank you very much, Saja, for being so quick, and it was very interesting to listen to. So now Wasma from Sudan is going to talk about women's rights in Sudan. Please.
Okay. Good evening. Do you see my screen?
Yes. Yes. Do.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to represent myself and my colleagues and our beloved country, Sudan, in this day. Stepping forward, as the title stated, that there is no empowerment without rights and there is no right without politics. And starting from early 40s, women started raising up their voices, requesting or demanding the inclusion and the empowerment of women in society. my country wasn't an exclusion for this. Since like the last decade, women's rights have been in the front of media and politics. We achieved some progress, but we still lag behind. If I want to speak about 3 points that being used in order to empower women in my country, firstly, raising awareness against bias. Despite the fact that the female population is slightly higher regarding male, we still see some bell ringing percentage against women-based violence, whether it was physical or health-based, which altogether lead to referring to women as a housewife keeper and men keeping ranking higher in all aspects of life. According to UNICEF, Sudan is being known as the highest rate of female genital mutilation and cutting. That's why in 2008, an initiative called Salima, which literally means whole or complete as being created by God, being launched to subside this let's say, like physically and mentally affecting situation for girls. And thanks God that in 2020, Sudan entered a new era by criminalizing such action. Not only that, child marriage as being seen in most of MENA, Middle East, North Africa's regions is highly prevalent, and in Sudan, it's like 10 years minimum age of girls to get married, which is like still a kid, in my opinion, and in everyone's opinion. Not only that, maternal health in Sudan lag behind, leading to serious complications like maternal mortality, which we have one of the highest in the region. Also, women in my country being subjected to different forms of domestic violence, raping, and offensive public order laws that call indecent dresses, which will be faced by flogging punishment, and women are more subjected to such law. Gladly that this law being cancelled in 2020, and also on the other hand, detention of pregnant and lactating women being substituted by community service. In political representation, as there is no right with no political representation, as we can see in my country, based on quota system, Sudanese national election determines 13% for women, raised up to 26 by 2010, and now in 2019, now we've been promised by an increase of 40%, and of course we are looking for more representative representation in political decision making. One aspect is education and participation in economic for Sudanese women. Regarding statistics, still women are lag behind in comparison to men or boys, which create a real gap in example, not only in academia, but in all aspects of profession. So the second point that I want to raise is that in Sudan, in order to empower women, we are celebrating some achievement for women. And this tradition starts early as 30s in different aspects of life, including art and literature. Not only that, in politics, we have 3 named women. We need to name them, like Fatma Talab, Khalda Zahir, and Fatma Ahmed, who collectively participate in initiation, the first woman association in Sudan, giving a chance for a woman like Fatma Abdul Mahmoud to represent herself as the first female presidential candidate. Not only that, in Sudan, in all and even in Africa, we have a Sudanese women that break the norm early as 40s. I'm not yet being called the owner of impossible aspiration, or simply simple act during duty work for a woman, or gaining a higher position, firstly in Sudan and in Africa. And also our beloved Sarah Jadallah is being known by Italian community as the winner of all the medal in Cabrini and Italy. Between yesterday and today, women, we still progressing, we still achieving progress toward women's rights. Not only that, we have an iconic and outstanding women in all aspects of life regarding science and politics, and even in revolutionary point of view. behind all of that, we can see like family support is the main thing that matter, and female supporting for another female is also crucial. So the third point is taking action of equality. It's not just like reminding them of gender inequality or celebrating their achievement, but take actions for equality. As in the 40s, we have associations and organizations favorite the women right, like Young Women Cultural Society and Sudanese Women Union, and lately in 2009, Not Women Operation Initiative, which have been part of the last Sudanese revolution, representing women by 70% from protesters. Not only those three, but a lot more, all are fighting for women's rights. And notably, I would like to mention that many of laws that we are fighting against are stem from long-standing traditions. So finally, I want to say from Sudan to Italy, in the Women's Day, we would like to say there is no empowerment without rights, and we are continuing our fight since like decades before till future, till we gain all our rights. So from all the team behind this presentation, I would like to say thank you.
Thank you very much, Wasma. It's so empowering. So insightful, your presentation is so inspiring. And now I'm going to give the floor to Maïssa from Tunisia. And this is the last presentation that we have for today. Please.
It's like my computer that is stuck now.
Are you seeing my presentation?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Great.
I'm just trying to share. Perfect. I'm Maïssa Garbi, and I'm a part of the Tunisian team talking about International Women's Day today. I would like to start my presentation with an article about UNESCO's rating of women in science in the region of Islamic and Arab world that was recently released on June 2020, where Tunisian women lead African and Arab women in science as 55.1% of Tunisian researchers are female, which is the largest proportion in Africa and Arab world. This gives you an idea about how females are dedicated to education. These charts taken from the UNESCO's report about education proportions by gender classification shows how females occupy a high percentage of the total students proportion, and is even much higher, almost the double when it comes to higher level education, universities and college, comparing to males. Education and equal opportunities is in attending schools and universities has been a priority in Tunisia since it got its independence from the French colonialism more than 50 years ago, as it's among the ultimate rights to be guaranteed the Personal Status Code of 1956. That also gave the Tunisian the privilege to guarantee the rights that were considered revolutionary in the Arabic and Muslim world. It abolished forced marriage and introduced a minimum marriage age and planning for birth control. It gave women liberty to vote and to be part of the political life. Tunisia prohibits polygamy and repudiation. It also guarantees the equality of heritage. When I talk about legendary female examples in Tunisia and Tunisian female idols, there are hundreds of them, but I'm citing in the slide some of many examples that were part of history until now, starting from Elisa, who is the legendary founder of Carthage, to the first doctor, the first pilot in Islamic and Arab region. By this occasion, I want to mention a very recent example of a successful woman that was part of the Forbes top CEOs in the Middle East and Arab region of 2021, which is Jalila Nizni. Also, Tunisia took part of the initiative this January to enlist women in the army in the effort to achieve more equality between the sexes. In this part, I want to focus on rural women community, as they represent 31% of the population in Tunisia, and there is a huge need to better their situation. These women are simply superwomen, and as an example, this is a fisherwoman, who is Jamila, that was mentioned in the fisheries and aquaculture tweet, and she's been working more than 50 years as a fisherwoman. There were so many initiatives aiming to empower these women living in their huge social and commercial and economical role in the society. This project was dedicated to women that were fishing claims. It's amazing how managing those small aspects and projects is helpful to improve the life of hundreds of families and save their children from dropping out of school. The salary actually got from $1 per kilo until to $12 per kilo, which really improved the situation of these women socially and economically in their community. It's important to support women and guarantee their accessibility to resources independently from their gender. And this report is an on-field study and shows how equal access to natural and production resources creates greater opportunities for women to develop their society. Finally, I want to highlight the importance of these projects aiming to support the women's situation in developing countries where women have great potential, but unfortunately they may lack resources. The AICS had, for example, the AICS has several participations in Tunisia and initiatives contributing to the empowerment of small-scale female-funded projects in several fields, textile, agriculture, tourism, etc., young women, all type of women. Finally, I want to finish with some personal perspectives and idea of mine. First of all, I believe that the women's empowerment is closely connected to a sustained commitment to public investment in health and education. An educated and financially independent woman is a powerful woman. Also, the defending gender equality and women's empowerment should be taken part by all part of the society. And we need to see more female leaders in media, in politics, in, for example, Nobel Prize nominations, etc. It's a man's world is a state of mind that was set for many decades now, but I think it's now the time to wash away that idea. And I hope that one day when talking about, for example, sending an exhibition to Mars or another planet, we won't see sending a female or being a female part of the team is would become normal as the equally to males participation. And that was the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for your attention.
It was amazing. Thank you very much, Maisa, for your interesting presentation. And now I'm going to give the floor to Professor Parigi for maybe, and Marco Focacci, maybe for some concluding remarks of the meeting. And I would like to thank all the participants for all the presentations that we saw and heard today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I also thank you, all of you, because it was a very, very, very interesting and inspiring day today. Just a few remarks. First of all, I think today we had the idea of our program, our Partnership for Knowledge, all this richness in the presentations, in the this virtual tour around the world was really it gave us the sense of the Partnership for Knowledge. This is just a general remark. Then about the all the topic of the day, the Women's Day. First of all, I finished the day richer about this topic, and thank really all of you, because you really gave me an idea of the different path that go toward the rights and the gender equality. In many presentations we have, and in many countries we have different level of gender equality, different traditions, but it's a kind of different rivers that go through the same direction. So really thanks a lot. Please, Giambattista.
Well, I am afraid that these ladies and gentlemen spend too much time in Italy, because they got the Italian attachment to the respect of time. We are just 1 hour late than what scheduled, but this is typical. We are Latin people, and therefore we like to speak a lot, and we learned a lot while speaking together and while sharing together our experiences, our ideas. As Marco said now, we had a tour around the world, and we got the different things that are good in the world, the many things that still needs to be fixed, to be improved, to be ameliorated. Please remember that you'll be the generation that will need to change to improve all these situations in your countries. Therefore, we are very glad. We are hoping to offer you as much as possible, as much as we can, in order to empower you in this difficult task, but absolutely formidable task of changing your country and changing the world for a better world. Being in the former days a chief scout, I can refresh what was the aphorism of BP. Let's try to leave this world a little bit better of what you found when you was born many years ago. Thank you to everybody, and see you soon for another meeting like that. Bye-bye.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, of course, I forgot. Everyone now has to open his microphone and to do a little bit of a mess, because otherwise. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Ciao.
I want to listen to the voices of everybody.
I have to say also, Professor Barbarigi, to Alexa and Siri.
Hello and bye everyone. Anche buonanotte.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Buonanotte, good night. Usiku mwema.
Sorry for being so late. Thank you so much, everybody.
Ciao.
Bye.